Boruto chapter 49. The calm before the storm, you could say, as it builds up to the epic rematch with Ishiki Otsutsuki. Question is, however, how are they going to defeat someone they've lost to once already, in a weaker form nonetheless? What kind of role will Boruto play in all of this? Is he an advantage or a disadvantage? And will this be Sasuke's final contribution in defending the shinobi world? Let's discuss this and more as we take a look through Boruto chapter 49. So we start off with Ishiki hovering menacingly above Konoha, waiting to strike like a bird of prey. However, and I hate to be that guy, but there is definitely a slight plot hole here. So we see Ishiki struggle to locate who he's after, claiming it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. But I'm sorry, you have 360-degree vision, pretty much. And on top of that, Naruto should theoretically stick out like a sore thumb. You see, Naruto stands out so clearly through a Byakugan with his bright orange chakra. So, how has Ishiki somehow not seen him? Especially considering he didn't even expect Naruto to be there in the first place. Meaning, the sight of the nine-tailed fox spirit should ring the alarm bells inside Ishiki's head and say, hang on, if the fox is here, the Hokage is here, so Kawaki is there. Ishiki is smart enough to put the pieces of the puzzle together here. Instead, he makes it seem like the hardest game of Where's Wally ever. But, as surprising as it may seem after all that, this is by no means a rant. Just some constructive criticism of one of my favourite manga, nothing else. With that out of the way though, let's get into the most fun and interesting aspects of this chapter. So, as I mentioned, Naruto and Ishiki's rematch begins, with Naruto being the one pulling up to Ishiki, meaning Kawaki is able to get somewhere safe, at least for now. Now, there's a lot riding on this battle. The last time these two met, strong words were shared between them. Ishiki claiming that it'll be your end when we next meet, with Naruto responding that he will feed those words right back at him. So, which one will end up telling the truth? Which will be the one that dies? Well, as much as I hate to say it, I'm thinking neither. I think it will be Sasuke who ends up biting the bullet. And this is because the death flags have always been there for Sasuke, ever since the beginning. But now, more than ever, they're popping up. We had them last chapter with Sasuke declaring he would die to save the village, and even more so this chapter during the beautiful scene between master and student. Truth be told, Sasuke and Boruto's relationship in the manga does definitely feel somewhat artificial, which is obviously a department in which the anime excels at brilliantly. But that didn't stop me feeling emotional during the part where Boruto asked for Sasuke's headband again, as not only did it display admiration from Boruto for his master, but also trust from Sasuke, going against Naruto's orders and letting him play a key role in a fight against someone who realistically is way out of his league in terms of ability, as well as also believing in his student enough to return back alive as he expects to get his headband back in person. And that's lovely, right? Well, it's also the massive red flag. Tell me, how often do you see characters in any form of media make a promise for when they return to then never return? Exactly. It's one of the most common tropes out there, but it never fails. And it was this line more than any other that made me believe that Sasuke would not be returning. Meaning that Boruto will not be able to fulfill the promise of returning the headband back in person. Now, before I go into what I have to say about the prospect of such an integral plot twist, I wanted to get some input from you guys at home and see whether or not you think Sasuke's gonna die as well and how such a tragedy could possibly play out. Now, I wish I had just an ounce of the optimism that you guys have, because nearly 60% of you guys think he's going to survive this fight. Which is, I mean, just fair play. Fair play if you're believing that. Let's see what happens with it. We've got Matthew Diaz saying, I just don't see him or Naruto dying before the time skip. And on one half, I can understand this. I can see where you're coming from. However, on the other half, I think the death of Sasuke would be such a crazy turn of events that it's big enough to trigger the time skip. For example, if you think back to the original Naruto Part 1, you had Sasuke leaving the village and the Akatsuki launching their attack for Naruto, which then inevitably meant Naruto had to train as fast as he could to become stronger. Now, if Sasuke, one of the godly guardians of the shinobi world, was to die, Boruto, or someone anyway, would have to train their asses off to try and fill those shoes. So it wouldn't surprise me if the death of Sasuke was the trigger for the time skip. We've got Kaushik Jayaraman saying it's too soon to kill off Sasuke. He and Boruto need to spend a lot of time together. And this sort of ties into what I said before about how in the manga their relationship seems somewhat forced and artificial, whereas in the anime that's definitely the direction you can see they're taking their bond. That's clearly where all the development and growth for their relationship is going to come from. And as for saying it's too soon to kill them off, I tend to disagree. Obviously, as we know from Ikimoto, the mangaka of the series, they plan to wrap up the entire Boruto story within 30 volumes. Well, the most recent volume to come out in Japan was volume 12, and that doesn't even include the most recent 2 chapters. Which means that this fight with Ishiki is going to go at least into volume 13 and then probably into volume 14 as well, and then after that is volume 15 of course, which theoretically is the halfway point of the series. I know saying we're just about to come up to chapter 50 may seem like it's short, however within context we're actually well into the meat of the story. Now it's these comments from Ajani Powell and Noro which I want to discuss, as I also think that there is a slight chance of something like this happening. Sasuke clearly plans to utilise Boruto's Momoshiki transformation against Ishiki. And it's an incredible risk, as if, and it's a gigantic if, Boruto can keep Momoshiki's power under control, then it puts our 3 heroes in a very favourable position to win. However, if he loses control again, then it's lights out. As if Momoshiki took over Boruto's consciousness, then he would presumably join Ishiki in battling Naruto and Sasuke, as there's been no reason for us to believe there's any bad blood between the two of them. Their goals are the same, so a team up between them is highly plausible. And so if Naruto and Sasuke struggled against Jigen, a weakened Ishiki, how on earth are they gonna then defeat this Ishiki and Borushiki at the same time? And so this is why Sasuke said that if Boruto does lose control like he fears, he will not hesitate to kill Boruto, as Naruto wouldn't be able to. And all of this makes me think that maybe a scenario like this may be on the horizon. What if, theory time, Boruto actually gets his scar from Sasuke? What if this is in self-defense? We know that when Boruto transforms, Momoshiki's eye seems to appear in the exact eye Boruto gets his scar. So what if Sasuke actually slashes at it to try and stop Momoshiki somehow before it's too late? And what if, during this moment, Boruto kills Sasuke and thus keeps his scar as a reminder of the monster he can become? Honestly, this may sound great and all, kinda. I mean, it does involve the death of my favourite anime character, so I suppose it's not that great, but the theory of him getting his scar from Sasuke during his Borushiki transformation is highly unlikely due to one reason. And that is that Boruto/Sasuke's headband is also scarred. And if this was to occur during one of Boruto's rampages, then the headband wouldn't be scarred, as Momoshiki's horn actually dislodges the headband from around his forehead. So, yeah, I did kind of just debunk one of my own theories in the exact same video I came up with the theory, but I still wanted to mention it, as the idea of Boruto killing Sasuke is still interesting to say the least. Be sure to give me your thoughts and opinions on all this. Are we about to see our first major death of the series? Who will it be? And how do they possibly defeat Ishiki? Is it even possible? Remember, Kawaki does clearly get his karma back as we see in the time skip. So, is a victory out of the question for Naruto and Sasuke? Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're not already to become a member of the Senpai Squad. As always, get in the comment section down below and let me know what you guys think of it all. And I'll be seeing you guys in another video very, very soon. But until then, as always, peace.